for me, like I feel like we cannot develop unless we take ownership and have a stake in your communities or in your society. And the thing is, like, developing from up or down, developing from up. The thing, the problem with government renews itself all the time. New people come in, they get elected. They have a short space of time. They have agendas, and so if you come in office,
technically they're supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. If you come in office, you have certain goals you have to achieve in order to be re-elected. So the last thing you're thinking about is probably developing from way down, like So you have like these big things where people can see you in the spotlight as an elected official, and after 4 years or whatever your term, you're gone. Someone else comes in, and so for them to pick up all those problems, but developing from down as well, is that, like what you said, sometimes it doesn't work. And if it falters, then who's there to... So I think it has to be from both, but the ways to do so is like, I don't know, I think probably education, like you mentioned, like Toivo, is a big thing.
Yeah, education. I'm on the education. I'm on the education thing.
You're not educated to value what you need in life or what you're doing in your society, and then there becomes no point, because you just basically trying to short-term benefits. So your family is good. That's the thing in Africa. I've noticed is just as long as I can feed my stomach, feed my family, find a place to sleep.
Maybe show for a wedding, give money for a wedding and funeral.
At the same education, Nelson Mandela was saying, the most powerful tool to really make changes. True. But from my own experience, I realized that in a way we're a little bit overvaluing education.
How so?
Because I think there are a lot. Let's say, for example, the same. Let's say, for example, Africa. I've seen a lot of educated people who really haven't moved anywhere. Most of the people I say I met and whom I talk to, and when I say, why don't you go back, all what they tell me is the government is not providing not gonna give me a job. The government is not really providing a space where I can express myself, where I can show my talent and all that stuff. So that's why I was thinking, education is good, reshape the education. Be careful about how you're really educating people, and that's one key. And that's why sometimes I tend to think that maybe culture matters to a certain extent.
It does.
Because when you realize, look at the Chinese society, a society of entrepreneurship. Take it long time ago, Ming Dynasty, Qing Dynasty. The entrepreneurship has really in a way shaped the society so much that people don't need that formal education to really start thinking about how to make their land more productive, how to go from here to here. I mean, they create themselves in their own way, maybe from what you learn in your home and all that stuff. So I think maybe there's certain things about the culture or the tradition of the place you live in that you need to change to really start making people realize that they need to step.
Okay, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. And I do agree, but I will then say this also, like this, I'm taking a course with Stephen Butler, the sociology professor, called Sociology of Education. And what are we learning about? Stephen Butler is trying to teach us, I feel, education should be a means of freeing your mind. You know what I'm saying? And I feel, and back home, just going through the education system myself, that's not what it's based on. It's based on, teacher has said this, here's what the formula is, here's what you have to do. There are maybe a few institutions which talk about the freeing of your mind, but it's still very much back home. Like, no offense, but back home in my history class, I knew more about European history than my own professor did, or my own teacher did, because she just wasn't, great lady, she's trying, and she's really trying. But she's not trained, you see what I'm saying? So for example, a test is, I have a test in history, you're supposed to memorize the textbook. What does the textbook say? But if I have information from either watching a documentary, reading a book, or prior knowledge something else, I bring it to the exam, I'll lose points. Because it wasn't in the textbook. Because she doesn't understand it. You see what I'm saying? And so then I will lose points for that. So you're not being taught to free your mind. You're being taught simply to memorize. And that's why I think back home what needs to happen is education. I believe the purpose of education is to help you free your mind. You know what I'm saying? And also what I also need to say is that, especially in Africa, unlike Asia, you know what I'm saying? The colonization thing is big for me in my mind. And in Namibia, and I know you're gonna come back to this. But in Namibia and South Africa, especially, only because we were trained for so long not to. that you can see our potential. We were trained for, because it couldn't work if we were thinking for ourselves. We had to simply reproduce the system. So we had to think, okay, we're only workers. All we can do is this. We cannot do this. You know, for the laws to take effect, because we couldn't get that promotion. But in order for it all to take education for us, I really feel has to be something to break people of that mentality and say you can do anything, so that they can do whatever they want. I as a government person, I don't want to tell my people to do anything. I just want them to educate yourself and you do whatever you want.
Well, I guess that's maybe where Goshen.
I was just going to add on to what you're saying, but that's a very valid point. And also to add on to that, I feel there's actually educational imperialism in this world. In terms of like, look at all this.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
Look at these scholarships. As much as they are good, you know, they're bad in many ways. Like they're taking all the cream of Africa, the top well-educated people. I mean, at least potential in terms of bright minds. Putting them in those European universities, US universities. Like if you look at how many Africans are in this country, in the higher, the college institutions, there are lots and lots and thousands probably. But those things like you know, those are like people who are educated, who are actually, if they stayed in their countries and made it, they're probably going to reinvest in their own countries, and also they'll be serve as role models for the African population, so that people at least they know what education is. Because at the moment it's like they know people are educated, but they know once they have opportunity, you're gone to some other, like, okay, now so education becomes a thing where I want to go to America, I want to go to somewhere. Yeah, you see, it has
these British pounds and US dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you know, we get the people who come here get the opportunity to go back with the flashy change life, which makes the other people like really like inspire their lifestyle rather than like inspire like their potential in terms of like reinvesting into their communities. And I feel like, for example, when I look at Andrea Irvin, like, I mean, she's educated, she's finished, but she's working, she's like a high school teacher in Richmond, like, you know, Centerville, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, you know, she's bright, you know. If
go back to Jamaica, go back.
Go back. Give so much more to the thing, but the thing is, like, what's incentive then? I mean, so yeah, I think we have to change, like, our mentalities also, like, in terms of like freeing our minds, like, and like realizing, like, sometimes the benefit of money and profit and individual, like, satisfaction at the moment is always good, right? We must sacrifice that for the future of the countries. If we go back, like, sacrifice that extra profit or extra comfort life, you know, and go back and, like you said, okay, for my generation, I'm just gonna invest and probably change a lot. That hopefully future Zimbabwe.
But then the question comes, then how do we get people to do that? And some people will talk about the socialist mentality of the idea of saying, well, you know what, you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for your country. You know what I'm saying? And then how, I'm not saying that that's what you should be doing, I'm saying it's a method that gets used to bring people back. You see what I'm saying? Like, take my father, for example. He could have been wherever he wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? But because he's so loyal to the country, he could not imagine himself being anywhere else. He's back home. But then for me, maybe because I'm his son, maybe I have that kind of thing too. But who says now, my other friend of my same age group, they're like, why should we? I mean, I can make 6 figures in the U.S., in a safe environment, in the U.S., in U.S. dollars, and I'll be and I can help me be home a little bit. Why would I sacrifice that to come to Namibia and make maybe only 5 figures, you know, in Namibian dollars, you know?
I think really, well, because to in a way go back to this issue of education, it's true that you can look at education, maybe you can say there is an education imperialism, but I think at the same time I was saying we're overvaluing education. I think we're overvaluing a lot of the people maybe who are here, because for me, somebody who is so scared, somebody who gets a master's degree, a PhD, or even a bachelor, and doesn't have the courage to say, I'm going to go and then I will make something out of it. I think that person is just cannot bring anything to the continent. Because I think that's why in a way I really value the education. What I'm saying is that when you look at also the people who in a way are here and staying here, they're making big checks, big paychecks.
Oh, absolutely. But
are they really the entrepreneurs? Are they really the leaders in this society?
No.
Do they really have that courage to do certain things? That's why I was saying maybe we're overvaluing them in certain ways. That's why in a way I like to in a way concentrate on really what's harm.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to educate what's the harm, let the people who are living in the country to go outside. Concentrate on the people who are even staying.
Mhm.
Those are the people who have the courage to stay and say that I see potential, I'm going to develop it. Somebody who runs away, that means he doesn't have the courage, he cannot be an entrepreneur.